Hey y'all. So I'm back with another video. Shocker. So I want to talk about the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock situation. There's so many response videos. Jim Carrey jumped in. I did not watch all the videos. I did not watch all the responses. Truth be told, I don't want to be that person who's like, what about ism? Or like, there's more important things going on in the world. But like, legitimately, there's more important things going on in the world. Like, these are rich, rich, rich Negroes. They are A-okay. I'm pretty sure Chris Rock is Viva la Loca after that slap. Okay. Like, he is A-okay. So okay that he was doing a comedy tour, charging people $40 a ticket like he was an opening act, like he was a newbie. Since that slap, he's been slapped into financial security because them tickets went from $40 a ticket, 400, 400, 400, not 10, but 2 zeros per ticket. So he's okay. Very, very okay. But I want to talk about from the perspective of Jada, because that's the only perspective that really matters at the end of the day. But a lot of people are kind of like, this is Jada's fault. And honestly, I have no dog in the fight. I don't know Jada. Jada ain't cutting me no checks. I ain't never been to the Smith house. Like, they ain't got me on payroll. So like, I am not vested in any way, shape, or form. But because Jada's a Black woman and I'm a Black woman, I am going to have my opinions on this. I believe when Chris Rock made the joke and Jada did not find it amusing, you could see it on her face. She rolled her eyes. You know, Black girl expression now. It doesn't have to have a lot of words with it, but you know, through the facial. And you know, Jada got that resting bitch face. So when she gave that face, like she did not agree, she did not want to be pointed out, Will saw her expression and stopped laughing and then understood the assignment to protect his wife's honor. Some people are like, well, the joke wasn't that funny. How did Chris Rock know that Jada had alopecia? It was just a G.I. Jane joke. Like, get over it. Well, as a Black woman, we don't take too kindly with our image being associated with masculinity. And a shaved head has always been associated with being masculine and being strong and being very butch, right? And Jada didn't want that persona on her. Why? Because as Black women, we are often categorized as mean and overbearing and masculine and strong. And making that association with Jada looking like G.I. Jane, which is literally military propaganda. G.I. Jane is the counterpart to G.I. Joe, and they are military soldiers, the epitome of masculinity and forcefulness. Of course, Jada didn't want that to be highlighted about her, especially if she does not align with that archetype, that trope. And she has a legitimate cause outside of vanity. Some women just like a shaved head, that's their business. But for Jada, it was very much of a medical issue. She has alopecia. I can't say, nor can you say, that Chris Rock knew about Jada's alopecia, but nonetheless, she wasn't excited about it. When Will Smith stepped up to knock Chris Rock off his rockers, that was his way of defending his wife. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what happens. And it's funny to me how society acts like, oh, Will Smith was out of line. Like, y'all didn't see T.I. roll up talking about, where you at, though? Do, where you at, though? Like, wasn't T.I. and Mayweather feeling a fight over Tiny? Didn't Kanye slap somebody over Kim and still is stalking Kim and talking about how Kim and her witch sisterins are using Armenian voodoo and their influence behind the scenes to get him canceled and canceled out of life? Like, y'all are acting like men don't go above and beyond to defend, protect, or even sometimes creep on their apple of their eye. This happens all the time. Men have always laid hands on other men on the behalf of women. Now, I'm not saying that Will Smith should have done it. I think it was just out of character, and not because it's the Oscars. A lot of y'all have that thinking, especially you Black folk. Y'all have that thinking of like, oh, we can't do that in front of white company. What will white people think? Who cares what white people think? When Obama was the president, they still called him a nigger. So like, why would I live my life in the trope of, oh gee whiz, what will white people think? Motherfuck what white people think. Because that's how they feel about you as a Black person. Motherfuck your life. Hence why there hasn't been police reform. But guess what? There's more money to the police. So be yourself at the end of the day. So my whole thing wasn't like, oh, it's the Academy Awards, it's the Oscars, as opposed to, it didn't really merit the slap. But I understand it's a male thing. It's a male thing to stake your claim. It's a male thing to protect your woman in home. It's a male thing. I don't think it was deserving per se, but I didn't feel like it was a big deal. Niggas slap each other every day, be like, did y'all forget World Star, World Star? Now all of a sudden you got civility? Like, can y'all stop with the fake civility? But let's get to the nitty gritty of all of this.
Like, our country is funding neo-Nazis with our tax dollars. Like, stop.
This is really coming and stemming from the fact that Jada had an entanglement with August Alsina. I think the reason why a lot of people shit on the Smiths, especially Jada, for her entanglement is because she ended up having a relationship with August Alsina. August Alsina, at best, is B-rated, a B-rated R&B singer. And it's not shade, as opposed to, like, I don't really know any August Alsina fans like I know Weeknd fans, like I know Drake fans, even problematic Chris Brown fans, like they exist. I don't know any Alsina fans like that. When he put out that record, when he was basically exposing his relationship and clout chasing off of Jada's clit, y'all was here for the tea, but I don't think anybody of y'all brewed the whole goddamn album. I don't think any of y'all purchased the album because I don't even know what the fuck it was called. So I know y'all didn't get it. But I think the real issue at hand is the fact that Jada stepped down in her league to get with August. A lot of y'all were like, well, she should have gotten with someone who's equally established as Will. She should have gotten someone who had a more fame or notoriety or money or whatever. And from a woman's point of view, though I'm not the age of Jada and I don't have the lived experience as Jada, but from a woman's point of view, if you've been in a relationship, let's say a marriage, a long-term, committed, invested relationship, y'all lived your lives together, you grew together, you had kids together, and you want to be on your entanglement, you want to be on your Stella getting her groove back, you don't want to hop into something as serious and as structured as Will. And not just Will as the actor, or more so like the accomplishments and the accolades and this and the third. If you want to get your freak on, you want to get your freak on with anybody who's going to give you that energy. Jada probably got with August because that's the guy she could let loose with. He probably had some of that Tupac energy and she was reminiscing while she was fucking on him. Like, Will Smith is not the type of guy that you could let loose with. And plus, he's always working, which he should, because a good man works. So, like, in her mind, it's like, Will is the guy that you raise a family with. Will is the guy that you grow old with. But she wanted her young thing that she could let loose with, that she could throw it back on, like someone who's not going to judge her and someone who's going to make her feel young again, feel vivant again, make her feel carefree again. And that's what August made her feel. And you know Jada's still fucking on the ghost of Tupac. So, like, maybe she was projecting, maybe they were trauma bonding and they were seeing something within one another that they didn't have within their own personal life. I can see it from August's perspective. He saw Jada like a mother figure, someone who was caring, someone who cared about him, because he had his own situation with his mother. When he was a child, he talked about it in his like little 8-part series on YouTube where he went through sexual abuse by a family member. So, like, he was looking for a mothering type, whereas Jada was looking for a young tenderoni that she could let loose with. And that's probably how they bonded with each other, which is unhealthy, granted. It's kind of like you don't wear your church clothes to, let's say, the club. Like, you wear your church clothes at church, and you wear your outside clothes outside, and you wear your inside clothes inside. And if you catch my drift, you catch my drift. What I'm saying is that you got different people for different things. Men who are like Will Smith, they tend to be very rigid. And that's not a diss on Will, as opposed to, this is your discipline. This is how you have curated yourself. This is what you have invested in who you are and what you've accomplished, which is great. Not too many people can say they are on par with the Will Smith accomplishments. But if you want someone that you want to let loose with, you can't let loose with a person like Will. You need to let loose with a person who may not have their shit together, who may just have dick to offer, who might just not be here for a long time, but they're here for a good time. And personally, if I was Jada, I would not step to August. Why? Because August at the time was going through drug addiction. People in his family was passing away. Like, he had a lot of shit going on. And at the time, August was introduced to the Smiths through Jaden. And Jaden is Jada's son. And not only is he Jada's son, August is relatively around the same age. Now, at the time Jada was hooking up with August, let's be clear, he was of age, and not barely of age. He was like in his mid-20s. Like, don't play that. Don't put that on Jada. A lot of y'all try to make Jada into a predator. I don't think Jada was a predator, as opposed to they were both meeting each other at a low point in their lives. They were on some Rihanna, we fell in love in a hopeless place. August was on his drug binge, and Jada was, at the time, she even admitted, she was going through sex addiction herself. She was watching porn all the time. She was mad all the time. She was crying all the time. She was trying to make Will fix her, and Will's like, I can't fix you. You got to fix yourself. So the marriage itself had their inner conflicts. And at the time, it's like when you're on some chaos energy and you meet somebody who can add fuel to your fire, there's bound to be a combustion. And that combustion came out when August needed some more money for the rent. So he put out that record. Now, I'm not saying, again, I would be with August if I was Jada, but that is their right. They are both adults. They did what they did. It is what it is. Will knew about it. Jada knew about it. I'm pretty sure the kids even knew about it, but that's their arrangement. I think us, the public, who do not have access to people who are rich and famous with influence, we regular people who oftentimes fit into society's tropes of you get married to one person, you live your life together, you have kids, monogamy, and all that other shit. We find that like abhorrent that Jada would step out of her marriage and then step out of her marriage with August. But like, how many people are cheating? I mean, like, let's be honest. How many people are having extracurricular activities outside of their marriage, having side babies, bringing in STDs, my girlfriend, my wife, my baby mama? Like, it is what it is. I think what baffles society in general is the fact that we're still trying to fit into a mold that obviously does not fit. With gender fluidity, with sexual fluidity, a lot of people still want to adhere to that traditional archetype of mother, father, children, 2.5 kids and a picket fence and a dog named Lucy, even though it does not fit the mold for vast majority of people. I am a person who does believe in monogamy, but that does not mean because I believe in monogamy, everybody else is going to believe in monogamy. Just because I believe what happens in the marriage stays in the marriage does not mean that other people have the same setup within their own marriage. And then there will be people who will say, well, why didn't they just remain single? Why did they get married? That's their business. Do you know within marriages, you can have certain written contracts within the marriage? That is what a prenup is. You can define your marriage however you see fit. But I think because a lot of us regular folk don't have the ability to curate our relationships in a very honest and transparent way where we talk about what we want, what we desire, how we like our kitty to be licked, or how we like our ding-a-ling to swing. Like, because we don't have these honest and fluid conversations, this is how people step out of their relationship on some scheming and lying and cheating shit, because you don't feel honest about talking about what you like and how you like. This is why oftentimes men reference marriage to being like a prison, because they feel like they're missing out or being restrained in some aspect in their relationship. And because people don't have that honest transparency about what they need in a relationship, and a relationship molds and it grows and it is defined by the experiences of both people in the relationship. What do I mean by that? Who you are at 15 is not who you are at 21, which is not who you are at 25, which is not who you are at 32. If you in your own personal development change, then what makes you think in a relationship you would stay the same? So because we as regular folks, we don't have the means to be anybody's sugar daddy or sugar mama. And because we as regular folks, we adhere to the systematic and often deemed archaic way of being in relationships and not being transparent, emotionally intelligent, emotionally available, and just standing in your integrity about what you need and who you are showing up in a relationship, most people can't fathom being secure enough to say, this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I'm interested in. Do you want to continue this relationship with me and support me in this journey, in this new aspect of defining who I am? Or do we want to go our separate ways? Because we as regular folks, oftentimes when we are married, it does feel like an anchor. And it does feel like a lot of our identity and our needs
is suppressed because we depend on each other. Our finances are so
intertwined with one another that we can't be this honest and be this transparent. On top of that, many people get married just to get the bills paid, right? Just so you can go half on the mortgage, just so you can have a support system. Whereas when you are, let's say, of Jada and Will's stature, you don't need the other person because you're already accomplished and you got your own money. When you have money, I'm just gonna be honest with you, when you have money, you have other options, and not just in sexual appetite, but options in the sense of like, you can be free to be who you are and explore the different parts of your identity. Whereas when you are poor or working class, you are very much restricted in your appearance and your behavior and your options. So us regular folks, when we want to have extramarital affairs, we just cheat. But people who are of affluent stature, when they want to have extramarital affairs, they do cheat too. But with money and with means, you can be a lot more honest and transparent about it, or have it a part of your arrangement in that said relationship. No different than Ashley Madison, no different than a sugar baby, no different than anything. But I think what really, meaning, yeah, you love this motherfucker, whoop-de-woo, but you need this motherfucker to come back because y'all got a bills to pay, you got children to raise, y'all both your name on the insurance policy. Like, y'all are so intertwined, and you financially, emotionally, yes, but more so financially dependent on one another. And because of this economy and the way that we work and the way that capitalism capitalizes, most people could not be successful independently outside of their significant other, those who are married. This is why divorces are so tragic to families, because you got to split assets, you got to split homes, you know, you might even have to pay spousal support and things of that nature. It fractures and shatters your own financial stability, but also the home family unit. Hence why there's the saying, it's cheaper to keep her, because when you split, you tend to be less economically stable. Whereas when you're married, you are more stable, as well as you have a better financial outcome, and you do get certain benefits like taxes and other like marital benefits legally. So there's all of that attached to it for, you know, us regular folk. Whereas when you are rich or wealthy, you get a divorce, you lose some money. But if you're like Jeff Bezos, it's chump change. I think what really boils down to the equation with Jada Will is the fact that y'all thought that they were in such a dutiful and one of a kind, Black excellence, Black love. You had all these desires. You were hanging up all your own drama, trauma, and rejection and hopefulness, and all your own vicariously living through the Smiths, that you thought that they lived up to your own expectations of what a perfect relationship should be like. And because they don't live up to that idea, that fantasy, a lot of y'all feel as if they betrayed you. And a part of y'all also feel as if, well, Will Smith is the top of the league. Why couldn't Jada just be happy about what she got? Why Jada couldn't just play the role? Why Jada this? Why Jada that? And in reality, that's not Jada's job to do anything but to be Jada's authentic self. Just like Will, there's been rumors about Will having extramarital affairs with men and women. And we sweep that under the rug because we want to keep that idea of the Smith, the idea of Will Smith, that we don't, at the very least, be like, well, you know what? If that is true, that's their business, right? We still act like homosexuality is something like, that doesn't really happen. And people being in polygamous relationships, that doesn't really happen. And people, whatever, however they choose to show up authentically, we still act like that is such a far-fetched idea of someone wanting to be in their authentic self and seeking out what they need outside of what traditionally is said to be deemed the appropriate response. Let's be clear about that. A lot of y'all feel like Jada made Will look weak. And I don't think Jada made Will look weak, as opposed to Jada had the opportunity, and throughout her career, honestly, she played different roles, but for the most part, in all her roles, she has been assertive. And who she is in her character is very assertive. Jada used to be a part of a rock band. Like, Jada is who she is, and she is very much of a pit bull in a skirt like Eve, all right? Eve is from Philly, and Jada's from Baltimore. But it's very much you get what you get and you don't get upset. Whereas Will has always fit into the role of like goofy or funny or the safe black. He's always fit into the role of nicety. He always fit into the package of, oh, he does the right things. He says the right things. You know, he doesn't have any sharp edges. He's all curved. He always had portrayed himself, whether that is his true self or whether that is his character in Hollywood. But nonetheless, he has always marketed himself as a person who's just friendly, happy-go-lucky, doesn't do anything problematic or doesn't have anything to critique. He's just a great guy who just goes along.
Very much of the special snowflake, very much the trope for the educated lame, very much of that aesthetic.
Whereas Jada has always been the opposite. So when you see Jada and Will, the direct opposition, Will being a man, Jada being a woman, Will being tall, Jada being short, like these different dichotomies, and they blend together. I think that's what excited a lot of people seeing them as a couple, but also what ended up tainting their brand, their Will Smith, Jada Smith Black love story, is because they are opposites. And I think with Will in his career and who he is now and the accomplishments that he has to be real. Right? When you become middle-aged, a middle-aged person, this is the time when you recount your steps. This is the time when you look back on your life. If you watch, the Black Woman Vibes podcast, you would know. We talked about this in season 3.
Which is linked down below. And the Black Woman Vibes podcast in general, available on all streaming platforms. I'll link this one to Spotify for listeners who want to know more about the 8 stages of development and how it shows up and what stage you're currently in.
The stages of development. When you become a senior, or not even a senior, but when you become that middle-age era of your life, that's when you start looking and seeing, how do I pass down the baton? Right? How do I prep the next generation? How do I view my life decisions and who I am as a person? So I think Will is having very much of a reassessment of who he is as a person, a husband, a father, a actor, and so on and so forth, but also who he is outside of the limelight, outside of Hollywood. And a lot of Will Smith's true self is coming out, somewhat of an ego death, but more so of like being authentic. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, Will, he slapped somebody, as if people don't slap people every single fucking day. Like, what was it? The Three Stooges wasn't out here slapping people in the face with pies. Like, come on. But because you have this archaic, this structure, this jaded view of Will Smith, y'all act like Jesus just smacked the hell out of Satan. And in reality, it's just his authentic expression. Not saying this is a validation, not saying I'm giving excuses, but people get mad. People slap around. It is what it is. But I think because it's coming from Will, and Will has always been like the safe one, the cool guy, nothing bothers him, funny, he. It's mind-blowing to you. As opposed to the man is reacting, the man is having a real moment. It seems like it's not scripted, but it is Hollywood, so it could be scripted. I don't know. And because Jada has always kept her leverage as, I am boss bitch, I am who I am, I said what I said, I stand on my ground, a lot of y'all feel as if she's emasculating Will because you're used to a man having that energy and you're used to women having the energy of happy-go-lucky, right? Even when there are women amongst men and they're amongst problematic men, they tend to be like the happy mediator and they have nothing offensive to say and they're diplomatic and they nod and they agree and they smile. Whereas the man is like, I'm pulling my dick out. I don't care what you gotta say. Putting my legs up and kicking it up in the air. I'm taking up space. I'm man spreading. It is what it is. Y'all are upset because they don't fit into the response that you would want from a situation like that.
I.e. on some loving hip hop shit, Will kicking shit to Jada, throwing her out the house, Will coming out with a gun, blasting Alcina's face, Will doing diss records and diss tracks at Alcina, like this stereotypical low vibrational demon time energy, what gets these trap-tastic niggas killed early in their career, King Von type shit. You would want him to like be toxic. You would want him to cause his own downfall. That's the reaction y'all would have had, and that's the reaction that you were expecting from Will. But because he took the more evolved approach, where it's like, it is what it is, I already knew about it, y'all feel somewhat slighted, which is weird.
And I think with Jada, her archetype of being like a pit bull in a skirt is a way to protect her. Because if you know anything about Jada, she's from Baltimore. She came from the street. She had a really traumatic background. She saw her mother be in a domestic violence relationship. Like she literally had to flee Baltimore and get into Hollywood to leave a tragic situation. Will Smith, in his background, he grew up watching his father beat on his mother, severely domestic violence, beating on his mother. And I think him building up the trope of like, I never want to be like my father. I want to be the nice guy. I always want to be the guy who makes people feel safe. He rejected everything his father was and became the total opposite. But you can't do that in totality. What do I mean by doing that in totality? You can't suppress your real emotions and think that that's not going to eventually boil over, because we're not puppets. We are not characters. We are real people. And over time, what you try to bury in the shadows will come to the light. And I think,
as well as by the very, 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 very unlikely possibility, if Will Smith ever listened to this video, you cannot carry the transgressions of your father. You cannot be your father unless you go out of your way to act upon his own actions. But I think it's unfair for you in your authenticity to live in direct opposition to your father. You are who you are, but you are not your father. I think there's like some hang up there where it's like trying to be the very opposite of your father, which is to be this fake happy-go-lucky, happy all the time, nothing ever bothers me, I've never been upset in my life. That's very toxic and unhealthy.
Will is having a very public ego death, as well as a reshape of who he is, a reassessment of who he is, because a lot of the stuff that he thought he might have been over, that he brushed under the rug, emotions that he thought that wouldn't filter up to the top, is now filtering up to the top, and he doesn't know how to regulate and deal with that, which I would suggest to go to therapy. And Jada, she's realizing that sometimes being that pit bull in the skirt comes off not only as aggressive, that G.I. Jane joke, but also it doesn't allow you to express your true self. It's kind of like boxing yourself in. It's kind of like being your own prison guard and you in the cell. You watching yourself be imprisoned because you want to keep yourself protected in this armor of pit bull in a skirt, if you understand my analogy. I think they both are reassessing who they are as individuals, as well as who they are in a relationship in a very public way. And a lot of people have their 2 cents. Again, I think a lot of people are overly dramatic about the fact that they have an open relationship. It's Hollywood. Everybody's literally fucking on each other. Isn't there like a herpes outbreak in Hollywood? Like, everybody knows each other. Everybody fucks each other. It's the casting couch. Everybody's having orgies. Like, y'all saw Eyes Wide Shut. Like, y'all saw that shit. Like, why are we so fucking surprised? It is what it is. But I think it's a distraction from Big Brother's watching. It's a distraction from the fact that gas prices are up, food shortages are up, on the brink of nuclear World War III. I think it's all a distraction from what's really happening in every single day. But that is my 2 cents. Will isn't innocent. Jada's living her best life. I hope Jada really does get into some therapy too, because there's things there. Like the fact that she came from a traumatic background, the fact that she hasn't even processed or gotten over the fact that Tupac is dead. We didn't talk about it, but she's always sending love letters to Tupac's ghost. Okay. The fact that she witnessed domestic violence. You know, they even talked about one time early in the relationship where Jada was trying to be super fucking aggressive for no reason. And she slapped Will, and then Will slapped her back. And then Will's like, I don't want to be like my father. I don't want to continue that reign of terror of domestic violence. I need you to check yourself, but I also got to check myself, because I'm not going to be in a relationship where we're putting hands on each other. I don't want to become like my father. So there's a lot of like parenting issues that they have when they were children with their own parents. There's a lot of shit that they haven't dealt with in their personal upbringing that is filtering into the public. And I think they need to cut that shit out and go to therapy. I think they need to go to therapy separately, and I think they need to go to therapy together. And I also think that they need to redefine their relationship, not for the public, but for themselves. And again, if you're going to have extramarital situations, put them motherfuckers on NDAs. And definitely don't be fucking around with a young nigga wet behind the ears, ain't got nothing going on for him, still going through that wild boy stage of fucking and sexing and this, that, and the third, as well as like, he's broken. At the time, he was kind of broken. Like, dude was an addict and he was going through losses and traumas. And I think that's how Jada and him bonded. They bonded over their traumas that was very reflective of what they have gone through and what they are currently going through. They were trauma bonding. And August seeing how well Jada is with Jaden and Will, and him being a adoptee into the family, to the point that they were allegedly August was living in the Smith house at the time, but he was like an adoptee to the Smith family. So for him, he felt like the Smiths represented something that he never had, a family unit that was supportive and healthy that he never had. So he wanted to play his part to continue being in access to the Smith, not just because it would boost his career opportunities, but also and one could make the assumption, feel as if he was being fostered into the Smith family. He was being adopted into the Smith family. Like he was winning the Willy Wonka of the Smith family, where it was just like, I come from a real fucked up situation. I'm from Louisiana. I'm from the South, poverty, trauma, this and the third. But now I'm a part of a real family, a supportive family, a healthy family. And he didn't want to let that shit go. So they were both, I don't want to say using each other, but definitely fucking on each other and escaping their own trauma by fucking on each other, which is not a unique thing. People do that all the time. It's just very blatant to see people's shadow. I'm very good at seeing people's shadow, but also like they're not unique in that aspect, because a lot of people use one another as escapisms for their own trauma. It's pretty normal. It shouldn't be, but it is pretty normal. They fell in love in a hopeless place, and now it's used as tea. So I also think Jada should stop talking about their relationship so fucking publicly, especially talking about the things that she don't like about Will. It's not necessarily about like, oh, saving Will's face, as opposed to, if people don't know shit, they can't talk about shit. So loose lips sink ships, and loose lips can sink your brand, your peace of mind, and your family. So if Jada really wants to talk freely about how much she dislikes this, that, and the third, she better speak that shit with her husband or speak that shit with a therapist. But don't be going on Red Table Talks or wherever medium, whatever platform, talking about your relationship like that. Because now motherfuckers are talking about, hey, Jada, I mean, I'm going to check in with you, but, you know, if y'all got an open relationship, let me sit on Will. And you might be cool with that. But you, like most women, ain't cool with all these other motherfuckers thinking that it's appropriate to be publicly talking about how they want to sit on the face of your man. Even if you got that type of relationship and you easy breezy like that, this ain't a buy one get one free. This isn't a discount. This isn't a thrift shop. This isn't a harem. So like, no. Like, We still to this day don't know who Beyonce was sneak dissing with. You better call Becky with the good hair. Like, we forgiven the fact that Jay-Z does fucked around on Beyonce, and we just gonna let that shit slide. But every single fucking moment that Will Smith and Jada Smith comes up, oh, entanglement, like, really, bitch? Let it go. The shit happened in, like, what, 2019, 2020? Bitch, who cares? Who cares? That is my opinion. That is my 2 cents. I'm just gonna try to avoid all these like think pieces and theses on like the whole Oscar situation. Who cares? It's the fucking Oscars. Who even watches that shit? Like, literally, who watches that shit? That shit is mad fucking long, mad fucking dry. There's too many fucking commercials. Y'all never get to the fucking point. Y'all want to thank everybody and Jesus while y'all heathens and sinning. Ain't none of y'all coming off of that money. Ain't none of y'all giving money to the proletarian class. Ain't none of y'all supporting us, but we supporting your bullshit ass comedies, your bullshit ass dramas, your bullshit ass, and Hollywood isn't even that great anymore. Y'all not hitting us with no fucking blockbusters. Y'all not hitting us with nothing but reboots and trash ass reboots at that. So, like, girl, bye. Hollywood ain't shit. The Oscars ain't shit. It's too many rich motherfuckers who are verbally masturbating off of each other. It's a jerk circle. It's a bunch of narcissists sucking and fucking and energy vampiring off of each other. Who cares? Fuck them. And that's my final thoughts. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below. Do you agree? Do you not agree? I don't feel like this is thesis worthy, but like, here we are, because life sucks so bad. The wealth inequality sucks so bad that life is so bad that we are so consumed with rich people's genitalia because we're trying to distract ourselves from how shitty late stage capitalism really is. So